Hello friends, and welcome to the lecture series on factors affecting quality of medicinal plants during and post cultivation. In the previous few lectures, I discussed about various factors that affect the quality during cultivation. And in the last lecture, I started with the factors that affect the quality post cultivation. And as I discussed that post cultivation processing or handling of the plant material is equally important as we handle the plant or we take care of all the factors during the cultivation. Because according to a survey, it has been found that quality of 30% of the medicinal plants is affected during the post cultivation processing, whether it is collection of the medicinal plant, whether it is drying, its storage, and so on and so forth. And perhaps it could be more than 30% in some cases. Now this percentage reaches to approximately 50% when we talk about the plants that are collected from the natural sources. So that is why I said that post cultivation factors are equally important as that of the factors that affect quality during the cultivation. And in those factors, we discuss about the collection time, drying of the plant material, how drying is important, packaging, storage, and pest. And I started in detail with the collection of the medicinal plants after you have taken all the precautionary measures, you have set all the parameters right, you have taken care of all the factors that can affect the quality during the cultivation, and now it's time to reap the benefits of all those labor you have put in. Now if we don't take care of the collection or the harvesting practices, then obviously all the labor which we have put in during the cultivation will go in vain. And when we talk about the cultivation or harvesting of the medicinal plants, then there are certain factors that govern this process. That is age of the plant, season in which you are collecting the plant, and not only the season but also the time of the day when you collect the plant, whether it is morning or evening. Now apart from these factors, if you are employing an unskilled labor to collect the plant or to harvest the plant, that also causes degradation of the quality of the medicinal plants. And if the collection or the harvesting practice is non-sustainable in case of the wild sources, when you are collecting the plant from the natural sources or the natural habitat, then such kind of non-sustainable collection practices lead to the vulnerability of that particular plant species towards extinction. And I also gave you an example that how usage of proper equipment is necessary when you are harvesting or collecting the medicinal plant. Then we discuss about some general rules regarding the collection of different plant parts of the medicinal plants. Say for example, if you have to collect the leaves of a particular plant, then the leaves should be collected. Normally they should be collected before or during the opening of the flowers or when the flowers begin to open. Likewise, barks are normally collected during the damp weather or when the moisture content is higher, because during this period the bark becomes soft and it's quite easy to separate them from the stem. And gums or gum resins or latex are normally collected during the dry season, because that dry season helps in their rapid drying or hardening of those semi-solid unorganized drug material and make collection quite easy. So there were certain general rules. Then we should not collect the leaves or flowers during rain or when there is high dew amount, that is during winters, because high moisture content also leads to the development of certain fungal molds or bacterial infections onto the plant material. Vis-a-vis it also leads to the degradation of certain biologically active constituents. Then the plant material should be dried immediately. We should avoid the collection of foreign matter along with the required plant material, and we should not collect the plant material which is growing or cultivated near the roads which have high vehicular traffic, because the exhaust from the vehicles they settle on the plants, and the heavy metals they get inside the plant cells, and the plant material basically have a high heavy metal content which is quite toxic. And also we should not collect the plant that are growing near the industry which deals in pesticide, because obviously the effluents from the industry or the exhaust from the industry will be leached into the ground. With the help of groundwater, they will enter into the plant system, and those plants will be having high content of either pesticides or heavy metals that may lead to the toxic effects, in addition to the poor quality aspects of those plants. So friends, today I am going to start with the effect of the age of the plant when we are collecting a particular medicinal plant. Now, as in case of humans, as the age increases, various physiological processes, the speed of those processes, the intensity of those processes, it start getting altered, either due to the alteration in the enzymatic activity, either due to the alteration in the muscular activity of the body. Same happens in the plants also. So as the plant ages, there is an alteration in their physiological or the metabolic processes, which leads to the change in the chemical composition, one. Second, sometimes it also leads to the change in the chemical nature of the desired secondary metabolite. When I say desired secondary metabolite, that means the chemical compound which is desired by the industry for commercial exploitation, one. Second, the chemical constituent may be responsible for the biological activity of that plant, and that plant might be utilized by the industry for that particular biological activity. Say for example, in case of Mentha piperata, it has been found that if Mentha piperata leaves are collected when they are young, then the oil is rich in pulegon. Whereas, as I discussed yesterday also, that Mentha piperata is mainly used for the menthol content, and menthol content is found higher when the leaves are mature. So in simple words, we can say that one should collect Mentha piperata when the leaves are mature rather than when the leaves are young, because in young leaves pulegon will be in the higher percentage in comparison to menthol. On the contrary, Mentha spicata, which is also known as a common garden mint or spearmint, it is known for its carvon content, and carvon content is maximum when the leaves of spicata are young, and when the leaves get mature, this carvon gets converted into dihydrocarbon, and it becomes the major constituent in the mature leaves. So if you want to collect the Mentha spicata leaves, then you should always collect those leaves when they are young. Next example is of Cinnamomum camphora or the camphor tree. Now the camphor accumulates in the wood region of this tree, and it is ready for the collection at the age of 40 years. So one should collect the camphor from the tree when the age of the tree is 40 years, because before that either the camphor concentration of the camphor will be very less, because you have to collect the camphor from the heartwood of the tree, because you have to cut the tree and get into the heartwood and then you collect the camphor. So if you collect the camphor below the age of 40 years of the tree, then obviously either you will be getting camphor in very less concentration, or you may get certain secondary chemical constituents in higher quantity along with the camphor, or the camphor may be present in some other chemical form. So the whole tree will go waste if you are going to collect at a optimum age of the camphor tree. Then Papaver somniferum. We know that Papaver somniferum is largely used for morphine, which is a potent central analgesic, and the morphine content is highest after 2.5 to 3 weeks after the flowering. So if you want to collect the latex from Papaver somniferum, then you should incise or you should cut the capsule 2.5 to 3 weeks after the flowering, because before the flowering the morphine content is quite less, and other secondary alkaloids like codeine is there, thebaine is there. So the content of secondary alkaloid is much higher than the morphine before the flowering. So one has to collect the latex of the Papaver somniferum 2.5 to 3 weeks after the flowering of the plant. Then Datura stramonium, the hyoscine content is highest in the young plant or in the young leaves, I would say. Whereas as the plant matures towards the fruiting, the hyoscyamine content increases. So depending upon the type of the alkaloid you required from the Datura stramonium, you should collect the plant in the desirable age of the plant. So if you want higher hyoscine content, you should collect the plant when it is young. If you require a higher amount of hyoscyamine, then you should collect the plant when it is mature. Another example is of cannabis sativa, and we know that cannabis sativa, commonly known as bhang, is commonly used for tetrahydrocannabidiol, that is THC. Higher amount of THC has been found in adult plants, whereas the young plant is rich in cannabichromene. So since cannabis sativa is largely used for its THC content, so one should collect the cannabis sativa when the plant is adult, not when the plant is young. So this is basically how the age of the plant has an impact on the concentration of the secondary metabolite as well as on the chemical nature of the secondary metabolite, because with the age there is a change in the chemical nature of the desirable secondary metabolite. I must remind you that I am hereby talking about the major secondary metabolite or the biologically active secondary metabolite. Yes, obviously there will be the effect of age on other chemical constituents also, but since it's quite easy to understand the concept by taking examples of the biological active secondary metabolite, so I have considered only such examples. Now after age, we discussed that season of collection also has a great impact on the overall quality of the medicinal plant in terms of its the content of the secondary metabolites, because with the change in season, two major changes occur in the form of temperature and in the form of moisture content. And we know that temperature and moisture have a direct impact on the overall enzymatic activity in the plant cells, and these enzymes can be involved in various metabolic processes which leads to the production of different secondary metabolites, or these enzymes may be involved in normal physiological processes which are related with the growth of the plant. So that is why season of collection also becomes an important factor when you are going for the collection or harvesting of the medicinal plant. Say for example, in case of rhubarb, it has been found that during the winter season it does not have any anthraquinone glycosides, and we know that rhubarb is largely used for its anthraquinone glycosides. So, and during winter season there are no anthraquinone glycosides, or these are present in very minor amount, because during the winter season they are present mainly in the form of anthrols. And as the season changes towards the summer side or the warmer weather, then these anthrols start getting converted into anthraquinones by the help of oxidation. So during change of weather from winter to summer, the enzymatic activity changes and the anthrols, they undergo oxidation, thereby start producing anthraquinones. So if you want to collect the rhubarb, then one should collect rhubarb during the summer season or the warmer weather, because at that time anthraquinones are at the peak level. Likewise, in case of essential oils of Eugenia uniflora, leaves mainly contain spathulinol and caryophyllene oxide. These two are the, I will say, major constituents of the oil, and these are found in higher concentration when the oil is collected during the dry season or the summer season, that is somewhat from April to May or up to June, in comparison to rainy season. Now during the rainy season, moisture content is quite high, and this higher moisture content leads to the hydrolysis or change in the chemical nature of these two constituents, thereby the concentration of these two major constituents decrease during the rainy season, and therefore Eugenia uniflora should be collected, the leaves of this plant should be collected during the summer season, and then the oil obtained from these these leaves will have higher concentration of the desired secondary metabolites. Now, after season, I also told you that the time of the day is equally important, because with the change in time there is a variation in the temperature, though the variation is not much, but still this variation in the temperature also leads to the change in the chemical composition in terms of quantity. Here I have taken example of essential oil obtained from Psidium guajava, that is amrood. Now, when the samples of Psidium were collected in 7 a.m. in the morning, and some samples were collected 7 p.m. in the evening, and the oil was extracted from both these samples. When the oil collected from these samples were analyzed, it was found that there was no major qualitative difference between the composition of the oils. When I say qualitative, it means that oil of both the samples were having similar type of chemical constituents. But when we talk about the quantification of the individual components of the oil, then there was a significant difference. Limonene content was doubled in the sample that was collected in the evening in comparison to the sample that was collected in the morning. So if you want limonene as a major component, then you should collect the plant material during the evening, whereas humulene content was found higher in the oil of the samples that were collected in the morning in comparison to the samples that were collected in the evening. So this is basically how the collection time during the day itself has also an impact on overall composition of the end product that will be obtained from that particular plant, thereby affecting the quality of the medicinal plant. So one has to be very critical and careful when they are collecting the medicinal plant, whether they are collecting it at a particular age of the plant, whether they are collecting it at a particular season, or even at particular time of a particular day. So all these factors have a impact on the chemical composition, or they have a quantitative effect on the chemical constituents of the medicinal plants. Now, once you have collected the medicinal plant, the next step is the processing, because you have taken all the care while cultivation, you have taken all the care while harvesting your crop of the medicinal plant, and after harvesting you did not pay much attention to the further processing of the plant, then also you may lead to the degradation of the quality of your crop. And this processing may include the drying process, this processing may include certain type of size reduction, this processing may include certain type of fermentation processes that are required by certain plants. So one has to be again very critical depending upon the type of the requirement, because that requirement will vary from plant to plant. So one has to be very critical while selecting or while taking care of the plant after harvesting. It has been found that some of the plants required immediate processing after the harvesting or after the collection, and this processing, as I told you, can be either in the form of drying, because if the moisture content is higher in the collected plant, that may lead to development of certain fungal growth, certain bacterial growth, though the growth of bacteria may not impact the chemical composition or the quantity of the chemical constituents, but such kind of bacterial growth may lead to certain toxic effects into the end user. So that's a safety issue also. So high moisture content may lead to the development of fungal or the bacterial growth, or this moisture also keep the enzymes in the plant cells active, which may cause hydrolysis or degradation of the important secondary metabolites of those plants. Say for example, glycosidic drugs, the plants or the drugs which are rich in glycosides, and we know that glycosidic drugs, they are more prone towards the hydrolysis of the glycosides if the plant material is not dried appropriately. Say for example, you are collecting digitalis leaves. We know that digitalis is known for its cardioactive glycosides. Now, once you collected the digitalis leaves, those leaves require immediate drying. But again, the drying has to be below 60 degrees Celsius, because above that again the glycosides will get degraded. Thermal degradation will be there. And again, if you are delaying the drying process, you collected the digitalis leaves, you allow them to keep those leaves at a particular place for some time. During that time, the enzymes will start hydrolysis of the cardioactive glycosides, and the product which will obtain from those leaves will be having lesser amount of cardioactive glycosides, and hence lesser therapeutic index or the activity. So that is why in certain cases drying is an immediate process after collection. Then certain drugs require size reduction. Say for example, Getoryza palmata, which is also known as Columba root, and it is largely used in Africa for various disorders, for nervous disorders also. So the roots of this plant require to be undergo size reduction. That is, the root has to be cut into smaller pieces, and then they are exposed to the drying process, because size reduction help in the proper drying of these roots. If you don't expose the roots towards size reduction, then the drying is not proper, and the alkaloids or the other secondary metabolites may start getting degraded. Similar is in the case of Inula racemosa, which is known as Pushkar Mool, and it's a very important Ayurvedic drug. The rhizomes of this plant are used, and once the rhizomes are harvested, these rhizomes are cut into smaller pieces for proper drying. Gentian roots, Gentian lutea is there, and other species of gentian are there. The roots of this plant, they are kept in a heap for certain amount of time. Now when they are kept in a heap, this causes fermentation of the roots, and during fermentation there is a change in the chemical composition, and the content of the desirable constituent increases during the fermentation. When you break down the root, a freshly collected root of gentian, then you will find that the gentian root are white in color. But when you allow them to get ferment, then the color of the roots gradually change to yellow. So they are allowed to ferment, because during the fermentation they also develop a specific aroma which is sometimes required. So once the fermentation is complete, then they are exposed to the drying process. So this is basically how certain processes are required by certain plants. Obviously these processes will vary from plant to plant. Some may require immediate drying, some may require size reduction, some may require fermentation, as we have discussed the three different cases before we subject the plant material to the next step, that is drying. Now again, once the initial processes are complete, as I told you, the next step is drying. Now drying is again a very important post cultivation step or the post harvesting step, because drying, as we have already discussed, that it prevents the degradation of the secondary metabolites, because immediate drying help in deactivating certain enzymes that causes the change in the chemical nature of the secondary metabolite, that causes the hydrolysis of the secondary metabolites. So all such kind of changes can be prevented by properly drying the plant. Further, drying also prevent the growth of the molds. As I told you that high moisture content sometimes leads to development of the fungal molds or the bacterial growth, which may have certain safety issues also. So drying also prevents such kind of issues. And more importantly, it reduces the freight charges or the freight cost that is involved in the transportation of the drug material, and this aspect is important for the drug industries, because lot of inventory goes into the transportation of the drug from the field to the manufacturing plant or the plant where the drugs are to be processed. So by drying, we are removing the 60 to 90% of the moisture content from the drugs, and this reduces their weight, This allows packing of the large amount of drug into a small package, thereby further reducing the overall cost of the freight and easy transportation of the drug. And drying also helps in the size reduction. If the drug is to be exposed for the size reduction or is to be powdered, then drying process also helps in the powdering of the plant material, because you will not be able to powder a fresh plant material. So these are the few advantages which the drying poses to the end user or to the industry, or in terms of preserving the quality of the drug, in terms of maintaining the quality of the drug in terms of the desirable secondary metabolites, maintaining the quality in terms of the safety aspect, because it will prevent the growth of bacteria or molds. It will also help in reducing the inventory cost that is being put in by the industry to transport the drugs, and it will also help in further processing of the plants. So friends, in the next lecture I'll discuss about the different drying processes, different types of drying processes, different types of equipments that are being utilized for drying the drugs. Thank you.